and welcome back to the Gridiron Address. It was a good week 7 for me. I cannot say the same thing for my two guests, Chris, Jason. How are y'all doing tonight?
I mean, Dodgers went to the World Series, so we have that. Steelers, horrible Thursday performance, but luckily baseball made it up for me.
Yeah, and Jason, that Giants game just wrapped up a little bit ago. Obviously did not end very well, but outside of that, how are you doing tonight?
I'm about to have a mile-high meltdown, so let's get on with it.
Alrighty, yeah, we'll get it rolling. And Chris, we're going to start with your Pittsburgh Steelers. This was a classic stupid Steelers performance that inevitably happens every single year, albeit earlier than I was expecting it to. Their offense looked as good as it has in years, but the defense that was supposed to be their strong suit absolutely fell flat against Grandpa Joe Flacco and the Bengals, who played like he was 15 years younger. On the Bengals side of things, is this win a positive sign that they have some fight in them and might be able to sneak in as a 7 seed?
I mean, honestly, I don't personally think so. I still think Cincinnati is in a pretty bad spot without Joe Burrow. I'll be honest. Flacco played very, very well. Like you said, he did play like he was 15 years younger. But the problem is without Burrow, without the offensive line is still bad. The defense is still not very good. And the big reason that the Steelers did lose this game was because the defense fell apart. So I still think with how competitive the AFC is, it's just not realistic for the Bengals to be able to get like a last seed. I think that there's too many fringe teams, especially when you have teams like Buffalo that are, below the Patriots. We had the Patriots being a wild card. Well, Buffalo might end up being that wild card. So I just think it's too competitive overall.
And Chris, how concerned are you with the Steelers' loss? Because the defense falling flat like that, that's really concerning for me against a Bengals offensive line that is bad, and against Joe Flacco, who can play great, but he has shown that he is very inconsistent in the later stages of his career.
Oh yeah, I mean it was not good, giving up 31 points to a Cincinnati Bengals team, or 33 points rather, to a Cincinnati Bengals team that is just not, it's not their year. Not even forcing a turnover from Joe Flacco. I was expecting at least 2 interceptions. TJ Watt did not have the best game. I know a lot of people are complaining about that. No way do I think he's washed or whatever. The defense is still there. And, again, I'm trying to take pros from this game. I had a feeling that this was going to happen eventually. I personally hate Thursday games. I know Jason also strongly dislikes Thursday games.
Yes.
But, I'm looking at the bright sides here. I'm looking at the fact that Pat Freiermuth finally came out and had a great game with those 2 touchdowns, 111 yards. Jonnu Smith, I mean, that's what we're saying. Aaron Rodgers wanted to use the tight ends, and he definitely used the tight ends this Thursday. So that's one pro I'm taking out of this at least.
And Jason, Chris said the AFC is really deep, and I do agree with him. It is going to be tough for the Bengals to sneak in there at that last wild card spot. But do you take this win as a sign that they have enough fight in them to make it interesting at least?
It definitely makes it interesting. Look, the Pittsburgh Steelers could have put a stranglehold on the AFC North. It could have been 5-1. And, you look at Baltimore, they're 1-5. Cincinnati could have been 2-4 and floundering. But you gave them something that a lot of NFL teams look for, which is hope. And you gave the Cincinnati Bengals hope. You also gave the Baltimore Ravens hope. At 1-5, if they run it, they get Lamar back, they go on a run, they can make this interesting. So Pittsburgh really, they really messed up here, letting Grandpa Joe Flacco throw for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns, only a couple sacks on him. So yeah, definitely very, very disappointed in that Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Look, their offense looked decent out there. Yeah, Freiermuth had a phenomenal game. DK Metcalf is still a monster. Aaron Rodgers can still sling the ball, but that defense is suspect right now. And that's normally odd to say about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Really just, taking shots at that defense. So giving up that many points to a Cincinnati Bengals team. Joe Flacco literally flew in on coach to this game didn't even have like a playbook. He just went out there. They were drawing like plays in the dirt, and he went out there and made the Pittsburgh Steelers look terrible. So very, very bad loss for Pittsburgh. I don't think they're going to recover from this. This is one of those losses that, man, your defense has a lot of holes, and you just got outed by one of the worst teams in the NFL. So, yeah, bad loss by Pittsburgh.
Without a doubt. And we're going to move on to my Carolina Panthers. This was rough. A win is a win, but this wasn't great. 13-6 win against the Jets. Offense just fell flat. It wasn't good, and the defense did what they were supposed to do. They picked off Tyrod Taylor twice, J.C. Horn, couple great plays. Yes, Jason, it's against the Jets, and the Jets are bad. Still 2 great plays. I don't care. Really happy to see that. But the story of this game, at least for the Panthers offense, was Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. They are both healthy. They're trying to do the split backfield, trying to have a 2-headed monster. But Hubbard wasn't really effective in this game. He only averaged 2.2 yards per carry, whereas Rico Dowdle averaged 4.6 yards per carry. Jason, I'll throw this to you first. Does this show that Dowdle should be RB1 and it should be less of a split backfield, or do you think the Panthers should keep trying to have it be more 50-50?
I think they should try to have it more 50-50. Look, especially right now, you got some questions with Young and his injury. Can the Red Rifle, right the ship until he gets healthy? Look, even before Young got hurt, that passing attack was lackluster. I know the Jets have a good defense. Yes, the Jets keep on jetting. But I would think that, look, Carolina, you have something brewing here. You have the ability to take 2 stud running backs and utilize them. This can open up the passing attack a little bit more. So I think they need to really focus on this, again, especially depending on what Bryce Young's availability is going to be into next week. So I would do 1A, 1B, do some two tight end, two setbacks, 2 running back sets. Have them both back there. Now it gives you an ability to do some play action stuff when you have these 2 guys in there. So I would run with 1A, 1B and see how it goes. Look, I kind of didn't expect much from Hubbard coming back off of that injury. I think he was a little gun shy on really opening it up because I don't think he wanted to re-injure himself. So I can see him coming back next week with a little more confidence and being a little stronger. But man, you guys are going to need to use this 2 running back monster to your advantage, because right now that passing game is suspect.
It definitely is suspect. And Xavier Legette with a career game, 9 catches, 92 yards, and a touchdown. That was fantastic to see out of him. I'm super happy about that. And Jason, the Panthers have 2 really, really tough games coming up on their schedule. They have the Bills next week and then the Packers. If Bryce Young is to miss time, and he very well might, how do you think Andy Dalton is going to fare against those 2 teams?
Well, you're going to have to really lean on your defense. Your defense that played against the Cowboys is going to need to show up both weeks. Look, the Bills are floundering a little bit. Their defense is not very good. Their offense has a lot of question marks. So you have 2 winnable games. If you come out and punch them in the mouth, play some defense, 2 running backs, you control the clock, you keep Josh Allen off the field, you keep Jordan Love off the field, you have a shot of winning both of these games.
And Chris, I'll throw this to you now. Both questions. Should the Panthers keep it rolling with the split backfield, or should Rico Dowdle be more of the clear RB1 given that he was much more effective than Hubbard in this game?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very tough question considering you paid Chuba Hubbard a bunch of money in the offseason. He had or 2 off seasons ago, rather. He had a fantastic past 2 years with Carolina. I mean, he's been a borderline top 12 running back in the NFL, obviously dealing with injuries this year. And Rico Dowdle really stepped in. He was actually he's playing as well as like Le'Veon Bell in like 2014, 2015 era, honestly. So I have to say that you have to go with the hot hand, and I would say stick with the backfield but favor Dowell right now because one, Hubbard's still recovering from an injury, sort of, and then Dowell's the guy who's just doing really well. So if Dowell starts to regress, I mean, obviously what he's doing isn't permanently sustainable, but I do think that you're going to want to go with the guy who's doing well, and if he starts to regress naturally, put Chuba back in, let him be a little more healthy. When it comes to Carolina's performances or Carolina's chances rather here over the next few weeks with some tough schedule. Yeah. I mean, I definitely want to agree with Jason when it comes to how you want to approach the Buffalo Bills. I mean, Buffalo's been playing some lukewarm football, lost to Atlanta, of course, and then you guys are the game that they have between Kansas City. They have that big game with Kansas City the week after next too. So you have a chance to really, really put Buffalo into a bad spot going against their arch nemesis. But yeah, like Jason said, you got to punch them in the mouth early. You got to get up early, and the defense has to step up. I mean, with how bad Buffalo's defense has played, if your offense can step up, maybe it can. It did not step up against a very bad New York Jets team, which is very concerning, though. So hopefully Bryce Young's injury is not an extended thing. I think Andy Dalton is a sustainable quarterback. I still think Bryce Young is objectively better. And I think that you guys would have roughly about the same amount of chances if it was Young or Dalton. Roughly, I'd say Young a little bit more, but it's going to be tough.
And on the Jets side of this game, Justin Fields was benched in the second half, and Tyrod Taylor came in, passed for a lot more yards, and then he threw 2 interceptions as well. Chris, do you think the Jets should keep it rolling with Justin Fields, or is it time to end that experiment and just start Tyrod Taylor?
I think you're going to have to roll with Tyrod Taylor for the temporary amount of time. I mean, you have to understand that passing for a bunch of yards but throwing a bunch of interceptions is kind of the Tyrod Taylor experience. I mean, he has had, in my opinion, one of the most unfortunate careers of any NFL player, from being, two franchise quarterbacks have, replaced him in his career. And he also was, drafted by Baltimore as well, who had 2 franchise quarterbacks over him. But when it comes to the here and now, you're trying to win a game. I mean, you play to win the game, even though you're probably not going to go anywhere near even 5 wins. I think they'll be lucky even if they win a game this year, especially with how they played against a Carolina team that is definitely a lot better than we expected, but still just offense is not there. Breece Hall has not been involved. That's a big issue. Breece Hall has the chance rather to be an elite running back. But I mean, you're at the point where you're trying to hope that you can tank for a quarterback at this point, because they're probably going to be picking number 1 or number 2. I say at this point, number 1, they're maybe going to win 1 or 2 games, but roll with Taylor. I love Justin Fields. He performed all right in Pittsburgh, but it's not worked out in East Rutherford for him, unfortunately.
And Jason, it's time to talk about your New York Giants. They lost that game in heartbreaking fashion. I do feel bad for you. Let the Broncos move down the field. 4 plays, 56 yards, kick a game-winning field goal. Just devastating loss. That team has shown improvements since Jackson Dart was named the starting quarterback. You see the pieces of what this team is going to be in the future. Jason, what do you think is holding them back from winning these close games?
A coaching staff. You're up 19-0 in the fourth quarter. You're playing well. You have a good run game. Tracy and Scattaboo, Thunder and Lightning, whatever you want to call them. And you proceed to let Denver go up and down the field on you. So defensive coordinator gots to go. Head coach gots to go. This is a gots to go situation. Right now, Jackson Dart is our future. I love Scattaboo. But to give up what you did in the fourth quarter of that game, you were essentially saved by kind of a BS pass interference call. Let's call it what it is, because they should have lost that game twice. And they got very lucky with that pass interference call getting down there. and then Dart scoring that touchdown. But just absolutely horrendous loss. Look, I know it's on the road, and I know Denver's a good team. This is not like you got lost to the Jets, so or a bad team. So you lost to a good team, but to be up by that much in the fourth quarter, to have essentially a control of the game, to completely give it up, to give them hope. Talked about hope before in the NFL. You give a team hope, that's when magical things happen. And we saw Bo Nix turn into the Bo Nix we wanted to see in the beginning of the season. The progression, second year, no sophomore slump, playing off that first year where he was phenomenal. I think this is his launching pad game. I think this is that game that kind of shoots them ahead because they really needed this win. It would have been a bad loss for them if they lost, but the Giants, this is it. I think Dable needs to go. I don't care that they won last week. I don't care that they beat the Eagles. One win doesn't make a team. That team today looked just uncoached, and they were outcoached today. So I think they need to pull the trigger and finally get rid of Dable. Because, I mean, you look at what Daniel Jones is doing in Indianapolis. He's up there for P. Between him and Taylor are doing something phenomenal there in Indy. So to see him losing these types of games, to see what Daniel Jones is doing in the Midwest away from New York, shows me that it was all about coaching. And if I do not see Dable fired on the front page, just leave him in Mile High. Just leave him in Denver. He can just kind of hang out there. Just happen to close the door on the plane and just leave him there. But yeah, I need to see that on the front page tomorrow. Him gone. Terrible, terrible loss. I'm agitated. I'm trying not to use some choice words on your show here, so I'm trying to be cool. But no, it was terrible, absolutely terrible.
Well, Jason, I appreciate you not using those choice words, but Chris, do you agree with Jason's assessment that the Giants losing these games is ultimately on the coaching staff?
I never think anything is 100% on the coaching staff. The 33 points in the fourth quarter, that is
ridiculous,
unfathomably bad. And again, the big thing with this to take into account is there are a lot of games on the Giants schedule that are not winnable coming up.
Nope.
Philly, San Francisco, Chicago, Detroit, Washington, New England. I would say the only one really winnable is the Raiders. This would have been big if, still, even for a team that's probably not competing for playoff spots, would have been big. I do think that after this type of a collapse, and to your point, the PI toward the end there was a little bit finicky. It's not really a point that you can recover. And the trends are pointing towards Daboll being the problem. I was big on him when he got hired. I was big on him when they made the playoffs with him. But yeah, going back to Daniel Jones, how he's been playing under Shane Steichen, it's not looking good for Daboll. I think that he's in a similar situation to Mike McDaniel, where not head coach right now needs to be a coordinator, good coordinator, not good head coach right now, maybe in the future.
And Alex also brings up the point about relationships between players and coaches. Who could have imagined Sean Payton and Russell Wilson couldn't work well? If you've watched the show at all, you know how I feel about Sean Payton. He is a good football coach, but I do not like him. But I honestly did expect Russell Wilson to do well in Denver, but that experiment did not really pan out whatsoever. And now Denver's in a good spot with Bo Nix. They have a bright future ahead of them. And yeah, good for Denver. But moving on, Chris, you mentioned Mike McDaniels earlier. I'll throw this question to you. The Dolphins got absolutely dominated by the Cleveland Browns. Quinshon Judkins ran all over that defense. Do you think it's time for Miami to enter a rebuild phase?
I mean, yeah, definitely. I think that they should have been entering a rebuild phase going into this year at this point. The defense is not even existing at this point. I mean, Quinshon Judkins in the rain ran all over that Dolphins defense. And Tua is looking lost out there, and it's sad because, it went from tank for Tua to, flush Tua down the tank, I guess, so to speak. So it's sad to see because they have such a good offensive core. I mean, Tua has the capability to be such a good quarterback. Jalen Waddle is a fantastic receiver. They have Tyreek Hill, who's still very athletic. Devon Achane, who is one of the best dual threat running backs in the NFL. But that defense is not there. I mean, trading for Minka Fitzpatrick did not help all that much. I unfortunately do think that it's time for them to move on from McDaniel, who's a coach I'm very big on, but I just don't think it's worked in Miami. And they all look lost. They should have been thinking rebuild going into this year, but I mean, you want to win, I understand. So they're going to be another top 5 team. They're going to be picking top 5 as well.
And Jason, the Jaguars fell 35-7 to the Rams across the pond. The Jaguars were off to a pretty hot start, but they've lost 2 games in a row now. What do you think is the cause for this 2-game skid?
I mean, a lot of it is just they kind of shoot themselves in the foot. Look, they had 13 penalties for 119 yards. They were in the red zone, I think, 4 times and came away with 0 points. Just overall, just bad play and bad mistakes. Only 94 yards rushing. ETN only had 44. Tootin had 22. They only ran you have no run game. Trevor Lawrence is not good when he doesn't have time to throw the football. If he's rushed, he looks horrible. So, I mean, you got to give him time. And without a good run game, stupid penalties, weird play calling, I just, these, and plus they're the European games too. So sometimes I don't know what to really think of these games. I know the NFL wants to expand their brand, but when you have a team like that spends 2 weeks over there, you're outside the norm, you're eating different food, you have to do things completely different than you're doing here in the States. So I think that really messes a team up. You saw the Rams literally just fly in, kick the crap out of them, and then fly out. So, I mean, because they didn't have any of the other noise, they didn't have to do all these pressers and all this other stuff. They just came in, played football, and left. Whereas Jacksonville kind of had to hang around, and I think that really weighs on a team. So, I don't know. I think the NFL needs to look at this. I don't like the back-to-back European games for teams. I just think that messes them up completely.
And Chris, you mentioned the Patriots being at the top of the AFC East earlier. They're sitting at 5-2 on the season after beating the Titans this week. Do you think this team can make a playoff run, or is the AFC just too deep for them to make it very far in the playoffs?
I don't know, man. I mean, with how they've been playing recently, and a pretty easy schedule to finish out the year, too, I think they definitely have the capability at least to win the East. I mean, especially if Buffalo continues to just play lukewarm football and very, very not great defense. I mean, you got to really think about it that you got a cluster in the West, a cluster in the South. But I mean, if I'm talking New England versus a Jaguars team, I'm taking New England versus a Texans team, taking New England versus Chargers, taking New England versus Broncos. That's pretty close there. Kansas City, they could definitely put up a fight against as well. But, it really just kind of varies, I think, on how seeding works. But especially if they get a 2-seed or so, I think they could make a run. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I think they're a few years early here. They're kind of reminding me of the Houston Texans of 2 years ago where we weren't thinking much, and CJ Stroud's rookie year and all that. And D'Amico Ryans as well, his first year, very early success. But I kind of think that's what we're seeing with New England here. And we might see 1 or 2 playoff wins even.
And Jason, the Commanders are battling the injury bug hard, down their top 3 wide receivers. They took a loss to the Cowboys earlier today. They're sitting at 3-4 on the season. Do you think this injury bug is going to be too much for the Commanders to overcome, or do you still think they'll be able to get over the hump and make the playoffs?
I think it is. Daniels is struggling a little bit now. He's injured. It doesn't look long term, but again, he's been injured. He's been in and out, in and out. To not have your complement of wide receivers, your run game is suspect. You really don't have a number one running back there to kind of float the boat a little bit. So just a lot of grinding. This is not like last year where you're exceeding expectations. This is you're playing in the NFC East, and right now Philly and even Dallas is playing a lot better than you guys. So Commanders, I don't think they're going to be able to get over the hump. And then I want to throw in something real quick here. Drake May, dude, he's turning out to be that guy. Broke a record today, broke Tom Brady's percentage record, 21 for 23, 91.3 passing percentage, beat Tom Brady's record. So special things going on there in New England. So we got to keep an eye open for that. But yeah, the Commanders, I don't see them making the playoffs. It's just going to be too much uphill sledding for them to get over these injuries.
Dak's been playing lights out. He's not passing like the same old safe Dak. The Cowboys' offense is incredibly dangerous. It feels weird to say. I don't know if this is going to be their year where they actually get a couple playoff wins. But yeah, they have the potential to do it. Javonte Williams is playing really well. They have two great wide receivers now with the addition of George Pickens, who was still incredibly effective even with CeeDee Lamb coming back. Diggs makes any QB better, opens up other wide receivers. That's pretty spot on. Patriots are in a great spot as well. But moving on to the primetime matchup, we have another team that is fighting a losing fight to the injury bug in the San Francisco 49ers, taking on the Atlanta Falcons, who surprisingly enough have the number one total defense and number two total offense. That really surprised me because they did not look like it when the Panthers shut them out 30-0. This is really shocking. And like I just mentioned, the 49ers are banged up. No Brock Purdy. George Kittle is finally back. And Fred Warner went down last week. That's obviously a very hard hit to that defense. Chris, do you think the Falcons are going to be able to pull off the win against an injury-riddled 49ers team?
That's a tough one. I mean, again, the 49ers are insanely injured, but it would not – I mean, they're the best 4-2 team when it comes to injuries. So you can either say that they're the best fighting 4-2 team or they're the worst 4-2 team out there. I got to say that I got Atlanta. I think that Michael Penix Jr. will just find enough to get them over. Drake London, fantastic. Bijan Robinson is the best running back in the NFL right now. Call me crazy saying that, but he's best running back in the NFL overall. And that's as long as that offensive line can lead him there and they can maintain being a good defense. I mean, that's actually shocks me how well their defense is doing this year, especially because Atlanta historically, that's been their weakness. I mean, that's why 28-3 happened. Do I think that this year is going to be a year where they make a run? No. I still like Tampa in the South, but I definitely think they have the capability to get a wild card. But give me Atlanta tonight, winning by 14.
Ooh, okay, winning by 14. Jason, do you think the Falcons are going to pull it off, or will Mac Jones and the 49ers be able to get the win despite all the injuries?
I'll tell you what, man, Shanahan for the injuries that team has, for him to have them even remotely in a conversation at all is amazing. But I think the Rams are going to start pulling away with that division. There's only so much you can do to overcome injuries. And I think Jonathan Taylor has something to say about being the best running back in the NFL right now. So I love me some Bijan. A little Bijan mustard goes great on my hot dog. But I think he's probably number two because Taylor right now has those Colts firing on all cylinders. No, there's no questions about that team. Atlanta, we still have a lot of questions. They laid an egg against the Panthers. They still have those games where you kind of like wonder, hey, what are you doing? You're not utilizing Bijan right. You're not getting the ball to Drake. Kyle Pitts is just floating around out there. He doesn't even know what he's doing half the time. So I think the Falcons win this game. I think it is by a lot. I'm going to give it, I think they win by 17. I'm looking at 27, maybe 27-10. I just think the 49ers have way too much to overcome. Mac Jones is serviceable. He's had some really good games. He may keep it close at first, but I think that just there's too much firepower in Atlanta. And I think coming off that confident game that they played last week, where everybody was firing on all cylinders. Drake London had a great game. Penix had a good game. Bijan had a good game. I think if they just continued with that confidence, this Atlanta Falcons team is going to be super dangerous. I told you all beginning of the year, I kind of put them in the playoff mix and possibly in the Super Bowl. So watch out for the Dirty Birds. They are coming. If they just kind of keep the ship going and utilize Bijan like he's supposed to be used, they're going to be dangerous. But yeah, I got the Falcons all the way in this game. It's just San Francisco, man. They don't have enough firepower at all.
And Jason, you mentioned that the Falcons do have some questions. I don't know if I entirely trust Penix to be consistent week in and week out. And for that reason, I think I might back the 49ers. It feels a little bit weird to say, but I don't trust the Falcons to be consistent enough on offense or defense. Like you said, they don't always use Bijan right. Drake London, he'll be great one week, lays an egg the next. Kyle Pitts, it's hit or miss if he's going to be able to get involved. That defense is still really, really young, and they're playing very well. I'm partially basing this off of that Panthers performance, because how are you letting that offense put up 30 on you? How are you letting that defense shut you out? I'm inclined to say that the 49ers are a better coached team, and I really think that's going to play a significant role in this. McCaffrey is still very, very good. While the 49ers don't have any big-name receivers, they have a lot of guys who are capable of stepping up and making big plays when they need to. The addition of George Kittle is also going to be very, very big for the 49ers. They're 1.5-point favorites. I think it'll be a close game. It's not going to be a blowout on either side, but I do like the 49ers to win this game. Jason, got any last words? Because we got to wrap up.
If the Saints weren't in the South, I think the NFC South would be the best division in football right now, because you have three really, really good teams. Panthers are still good. You have the Bucks, who are really good, fighting through injuries, and you have the Falcons. Look, Kansas City lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, stumbling, bumbling, and then finally scoring a touchdown there. There's not one major team out there right now besides the Indianapolis Colts. Other than that, I think the NFL is wide open right now. But no, come on. San Francisco? No.
I'm back in San Francisco. Look, if I pick the Falcons, the 49ers were going to win anyway. So, look, I didn't want to jinx it. If the Falcons win, y'all look smart.
I know you can't choose the Falcons as a Panthers fan.
Genius. No, I'm never going to choose the Falcons.
Exactly. You cannot do it.
That's good enough. But Chris, any last words before we get off for tonight?
Hey, it was a rough Thursday, but again, made up for it on Friday with the Dodgers advancing to their second consecutive World Series. Catch me this Thursday on Dugout Debrief. We have a World Series preview. We might figure out who comes out of the American League here, as the Blue Jays and Mariners just started up. But regardless of who comes out of the American League, we will be talking about it this Thursday at noon. Thanks again for having me on. I'm always happy to be talking some football.
Always happy to have both of y'all on. Thank you all for watching, and let's hopefully watch the 49ers win.